Hi and welcome back to The Best Thing You Watched This Week. We've got Chris from Movies and Munchies, myself Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. If you are returning and a weekly subscriber to us on our various channels or our podcast, thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first time, what we do here is we talk about the best thing we watched. That's TV series, movies. We have an audio exclusive, which we talk about reviews that we haven't reviewed before or have film we haven't seen for a long time. We always kind of choose one each. We swap between us. And then we also talk about the worst thing we watched. We have one thing each that we talk about. We have a movie quiz that we do on here, video and audio. We also have a Patreon and all the videos on there. The first tier is £1 over 40 now for you to go and have a look at. Some are outside of the pay scale, so they're free. I think that is all. I mean, there's probably more, but that's a lot to start with. So thank you so much for your eyeballs and your earballs, I was going to say. I don't know what earballs are. Those little round bubbly things. Your earballs. Yeah. Appreciate you being here with us. Do leave us a like, subscribe, comment. We love interacting with you guys. I think we have a nice community now, Chris, especially growing that on the audio exclusive as well. Thank you so much for joining us there as well. Really starting to see that kick off now. Our Patreon's kicking off. It feels like we have a good community. It might be small and niche, but I like the people that we have in there. People are coming from all walks of life. Netherlands, Germany, US, UK, Switzerland, Australia. Yeah, we really is like a connected universe, which is great. Yes. But we always start with a movie quick quiz.
Yes. So last week I had
you had a theme.
I had a theme. Yeah.
I tried to guess. I listened because I always listen to our podcast back on the audio when we're traveling somewhere, and I giggled and go, "We're funny. I'm glad we do this." And then I try and guess the movie. I didn't guess any of them.
Oh, didn't get any of them. Oh, okay. Two of them for me would have been easy. The last one that would have stumped me. Even had I not been the one to
looked it up. Yeah.
Yes. The theme last week was gangster movies.
Right.
And so Nostromo got all three correct. He was the first one to get all three correct. A couple other people did. They chimed in and also got it, but he was the first one to get in there. And so we had Johnny Dangerously, which, have you ever seen that movie?
No.
I don't know if it holds up. Okay.
It's an old 80s
Keaton
movie?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
I like Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton, Joe Piscopo. I mean, it is just... My mother slapped me once. Fargan bastages. Anyway.
Yeah, I felt like I should have known that quote, but I was like, that's not ringing any bells.
Yeah, see, I really don't know if it holds up, but I loved it as a kid. I mean, it was like an early 80s movie. And so anyway, check that out. Don't hold me to it if it's terrible today, because in my head, it's awesome. Number 2 was The Untouchables. And that line was from Sean Connery. And
it's been so long since I've seen that movie.
Ooh, you need to sort that out and rewatch that. Oh, love it. And then Casino. So
I should have got that. Yeah.
That's the one. I mean, it would have stumped me, but because it's been forever and a day.
Right.
So I have another theme. I figured,
did anybody win?
Yeah, Nostromo.
Nostromo you said Nostromo. Okay. Well done, Nostromo.
Okay. So, here we go. Number 1. Yep. Okay. Can I borrow your underpants for 10 minutes?
It's a great quote.
Okay. Take this quarter, go downtown, and have a rat gnaw that thing off your face. Good day to you, madam.
Okay.
And the last one. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't come to the door right now. I'm afraid that in my weakened condition, I could take a nasty spill down the stairs and subject myself to further school absences.
Okay. I might know that one. Okay.
So I think if you get one of them, that might help you with the theme.
Oh, with the theme. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. That kind of helps when they're difficult. That helps you not being fired, Chris.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. Trying to avoid that at all costs. So... let us know in the comments. What's your guess? And then, Ruben, do you have a question for us this week?
I did. I had a great question. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great for me and Chris to discuss. But then you went and saw the movie, and now I can't.
Oh, well, no, it's okay. Go ahead. I'll act surprised, or I'll fake my answer.
No,
It'll be
because the question is, which characters from Guardians of the Galaxy do you think are going to die?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to answer that. Well, no, here, okay, but let me tell you what I thought before seeing it, because that hasn't changed. You know what I mean? Because I saw the trailer.
Cool.
So my prediction was Quill,
Right.
and Drax and Rocket.
Right.
So those three. What do you think?
I thought Drax and Rocket, mostly because of tweets, and I don't think they're going to want to carry them on. Rocket, I really don't want to die. I don't think they'll kill Groot off again, because he's died before.
Yeah.
Like, enough already with killing Groot.
We've done that already.
They tease a love story with not Gamora, but in the trailer with what's her name?
Oh, Nebula.
Nebula. I think Nebula's gonna die. I think she could die. And from interviews, I think Chris Pratt will die, because he doesn't talk like he's around in the future, but they talk like the Guardians could join other people's adventures in the future, that sort of thing.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe a lot. Basically, they all die.
Yeah, very Shakespearean. I definitely went in expecting to tear up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you guys let us know if you haven't seen it yet. Let us know in the comments which ones you think you'll die, and then we'll revisit once we've seen it, I guess, next week. And Chris's review is out, then we can talk about it, do spoilers maybe for the Patreon. But yeah, it's basically the end of many years of these characters being on screen, like family, a lot of people's favorite films, probably my favorite trilogy in the MCU. I like Captain America, but I think Guardians is probably my favorite, if 3 holds up. Although, having seen your little out of the reaction theater reaction, I'm not sure.
Well, by the time this airs, the embargo will be lifted, so I can say...
You can say some stuff.
It's not a bad movie. Okay, it's not.
Okay.
There are definite bright spots in it, and some of the themes that have continued through Volume 1, Volume 2, and now into Volume 3, I think they nail those every single time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we're moving into the best thing we watched this week. Is that in your list to talk about?
No.
No, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh no, that makes me sad. But also, I've seen other people's reviews, and they're totally gushing about it.
Dude, I am right now, I feel like I am in the giganto minority of how I feel about the movie. And again, I'm not saying it was a bad movie. I don't get the fawning head over heels of what it was. So
okay, did you absolutely love 1 and 2?
I loved 1. 2 was, I remember being okay. Now, it has been a while since I've seen it, so I would have to revisit it to see what I like, where it sat with me.
Okay.
1 though, I mean, top tier. I love.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I've been seeing all the reviews or reaction. They're basically reviews, because some of them, they're like 3 minutes long reactions, and
I
they
saw
almost
a 40
talk about
minute
the whole film.
A 40-minute reaction. How is that not a review?
How do you not get blacklisted for that? Like, so firstly, critics, sort yourselves out. That's not fair with people that are actually, adhering to the rules, and the people that allow them to makes a terrible space for everybody else.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I mean, even like some other guys that I follow, not Austin, but the other guy that he often hangs out with.
Oh, Sean Chandler?
Sean Chandler, he often will do reactions, but his reactions are long as well, like they're videos. So we'll see. Yeah, like you said, the reactions I've seen mostly of people just gushing about it, and then there's some people that I don't trust because they said this is the best MCU film since Endgame, and they've said that about every single movie since. So they're like, no, this phase hasn't been great. There's been a couple that I've disagreed with people, but for the most part, subpar for the last tier.
Yeah, and I've been trying to temper, let me say that, temper my hyperbole with some of this that I as my reactions go, you know what I mean? Because there is an excitement that you get when you come out of the theater from seeing it. I mean, everybody has that, you know? Yeah. You're on that high, and then it the more you think about it, and as we're supposed to do as critics of, you know, really dive into it and dissect it, go beyond that initial just surface level feeling, and, you know, to help inform. Because really, I mean, you know, like I loved Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It is a terrible movie. You know what I mean? So we can separate this and have that type of thing.
Yeah,
so
and I really didn't enjoy the bear movie. So it's really
Cocaine Bear. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Cocaine Bear. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
interesting dynamic. Yeah. I wonder if you would enjoy it more watching with your whole family, because I'm going on Wednesday to watch it literally with my whole family, and I'm guessing it's going to be a packed out cinema because it's the first day it's starting to run.
Yeah.
The atmosphere often helps.
I think it does to some degree. Yeah. I mean, there were people that were laughing at spots where I didn't think the jokes were funny.
Interesting. Okay. Are you just grumpy?
No, I was really looking forward to this movie. I mean, I was super excited because there was a screening next week, or the week that you're watching this. That, you know, it was like a day before it came out that I had, and then I got a last minute invite to the press screening. I'm like, oh yes, even better.
Yes,
okay,
please.
Cool. And you know, and like I said, I don't think it's a bad movie. I just don't think that it's as good as what these early reactions are gushing over. There are great moments in it. There are funny moments in it. There are good things within this, but taken as a whole, I don't think it's the strongest movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it's okay to be wrong. Also, you just spoke about it for 7 minutes, so.
Hey, that was my reaction. Thank you.
That's my 40-minute reaction, y'all.
Exactly. No.
Should we actually talk about the best thing we watched this week then?
Let's do that. You want to kick off since I talked about a movie that's not on the list?
Yeah, okay. So I think Citadel is probably the top of my list, although I haven't seen the whole 6 episodes. I know some people have supposedly had all of the episodes. I don't buy that because, as far as I know from a few of the other people, you and I and a couple of others actually have quite a big following. They've only been given the 3. So be aware of those that are saying, we've seen the whole lot. And then, as far as I'm aware, the 2 dropped on Friday. And we got the 3. The first 2 are really setting up the world of this spy-verse, and then the third one I feel like really starts getting into the story a bit more, which is great, which I feel sad for people that have watched the first 2 going, this is action heavy and spy, but where's the meat? And I think the meat only really starts kicking in at 3. What I love about it is it doesn't take itself too seriously, although it is very serious in content. But I mean, there's literally moments where the guy's on his like, I don't know what to call them, extended special spyverse skis. There's a whole sequence that just is straight out of Bond. You know, there's jet skis and parachutes, and he's skiing and getting away and not getting shot because the bad guys are terrible shots. You know, that was just out of Bond. But then there are moments with like the sequence on the train with the hand-to-hand combat that feels like a Mission Impossible series. And I think I only enjoyed it as much because I think I really enjoy the 2 protagonists. I think, the lady's name, I always struggle with.
Priyanka Chopra Jonas.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think she's fantastic. Like, I love, and she, because this is not a spoiler, because it's in the synopsis. They basically lose their memories because of the thing that happens at the beginning. So you get to see them play, for a bit at least, two characters. They're fish out of water, although this fish knows ninjutsu, sort of thing. And you throw a knife at them, they're going to catch it. Or they're going to shout at you going, "What the hell are you doing?"
Equally funny, both times.
Equally funny, yeah.
Yeah.
I really like them together. I think they work together, even though you don't know whether they're actually friends or who to trust. The Spyverse has always been about that. It's kind of like, do I trust this protagonist that they're pretending is the good guy or the good girl? I'm not sure I do. And then you skip over to the Stanley Tucci character, who is great in everything. I love Stanley Tucci.
Yes.
And you're like, do we trust him? Like, literally, we don't know if the Citadel organization are the good guys. They say they are, but there's a bit of a monologue later on where they go, yeah, but you guys do this, and therefore you justify it by this means. You're like, yeah, that's true. Are you the good guys? I like the idea of it. I'm not sure it's going to stick the landing because it's only 6 episodes. So that makes me go, they're going to rush the story in the next 3, or it's going to be a massive cliffhanger. So although I really enjoyed the 3 episodes, I'm like, for one, why do you give press only half? Because that's very hard to judge accurately. And secondly, if it's only 6 episodes, this is going to be either a very short story or a very massive cliffhanger. So I'm like, I enjoyed it, but tentatively, like, is it going to drop in my expectation? I don't know. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, and I agree, like, because the episodes are short also. I mean, they're like
I didn't expect that either.
35-ish minutes, something like that, well under an hour. That's, I mean, and so I do like them together because they are friendly and antagonistic to each other, like just constantly.
Yeah, that works really well. That's fun.
Yeah, they have some really good chemistry, and I like that, especially because I can't tell, are they romantically involved? Are they just partners? Or are they only using each other the way that spies
Definitely
would use each other?
Definitely a lot of history is alluded to.
Yes. I like that a reveal comes at the end of episode 3, I believe, which you kind of predict. Which is fine.
I kind of guessed that.
Yeah.
But we still don't know much about it. Like, is it or isn't it? Maybe she's a double. Maybe he's a double. Yeah. Are they triple agents? Alias is classic for that. I don't know if you ever watched Alias, but
I didn't
like double agent. You're a double agent. Oh, okay.
Yeah, cool. Who do you work for? I don't know. I think for me, there was too much silliness, at least in the beginning. Like I was finding it very difficult to take seriously the whole Citadel, and then the Manticore, and then the X case.
It did remind me of like Gadget. I'll get you next time, Gadget, with your cat.
I almost said that in my review, because I was like, oh gosh.
Because Matador is totally like that. The woman,
yes.
If she had a cat, who's
perfect.
In charge of Matador.
Totally, and they only showed her from behind. Wouldn't that have been great?
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Dude, it was because
I get that. Yeah,
I like some of the setup. I like the idea that there's an elite force outside of the rest of the spy agencies, within the world. Yeah,
that's a great idea. Yeah.
And so it's very Mission Impossible there. I mean that
because that's basically MIF, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think there are elements here that could make it work. So far with what I've seen, I'm on the fence.
Right.
Like you,
the train sequence though was great.
It was fun. It reminded me of Bullet Train. Just the whole.
I get that. But when they're fighting together, I thought the choreography was actually quite special because they were fighting in tangent with each other. So the moves were complementary of each other. One person would kick and the other one would punch, and it'd be like vice versa or gunplay. And I thought, so we often see the John Wicks fighting, but we don't often see two complement each other in the almost the same move.
Yeah.
And
which leads you to believe that they have worked together a lot.
Exactly.
That they can anticipate each other's moves, and they know that. For me, and maybe it was just the screener copy. I haven't actually gone back to rewatch it once now that it's aired, but the graphics weren't really working for me.
Okay.
It was.
There's so much writing on our screens that I can't really tell sometimes.
Yeah, well, there is a big
IP address. We have
your
something
email
at the bottom,
address.
and then your email across the whole thing, and I'm like,
yeah. It was because it was like, especially on the train sequence, the exteriors that you got to see out. You can always tell when they blow it out with like a lot of sunshine or light. To kind of hide that
to hide the
glow.
This is CG.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, whatever. Okay. But it for me, it wasn't as strong of a start.
So this also wasn't on your list.
This was not on my list either. No.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on. What was on your list? What actually was on your list, Chris?
I actually teased it last week, but it came out this week. So, and I can talk about it now that the embargo's up. But last week I watched SISU, which is like John Wick's Finnish great grandfather.
I'm sold immediately.
Yeah, it is like when I saw the trailer, when I went with my family to see John Wick 4 again, this played, and I had never heard of it, didn't know anything about it. And in the trailer, you see this old dude shove a knife through a Nazi soldier's head. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes, please. And then he throws a landmine like a Frisbee. And I'm like, dang. The movie itself, the story, super simple, super basic. These Nazis pick a fight with an old dude, and because they're greedy and they're trash people and just ideology sucks. Cool. Okay, I can get behind Nazis, their butts being kicked. Outstanding. Yeah. He is like this. He's just very dangerous. He's very unassuming. You can tell he's tough and weathered, but he doesn't speak. He's just like, he's walking on his horse with his dog past these Nazi, really death squad. And he looks at them, but he doesn't pick a fight. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't give menacing looks, anything. He just minding my own business, going to keep on going. And then later down the road, they pick a fight. And here's the only pick a fight you're going to win.
Is this John Wick's dad?
Yeah, he just obliterates everybody, and it is brutal.
Dog. You said he has a dog, right?
He has a dog. The dog does not die.
Safe?
The dog does not die.
All right, I'm still watching it.
Yes, there was a point where I was like,
no.
Yeah. There is a part where an animal dies, and it is it's sudden and horrific.
Right.
It is CG, but it's still it's like very abrupt. But the dog doesn't die.
Good.
The kills, the creativity of the kills is a lot of fun. There is some subtle humor in it. It's almost like incredulous humor. We have Axel Henny, who plays like the lead SS soldier or captain, whatever he is. He's in The Martian. He was in that movie with Noomi Rapace that just came out on Netflix like the year ago, where they were an antagonistic couple. Do you remember that? In the one of the dudes in the attic takes a poop.
Oh yeah.
You remember that movie? I don't remember what it's called.
I remember the poop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I knew you would remember that part. So, he's in there, and he will direct his SS soldiers to go after this old dude, and you'll like the first two people go, and they just get. They're just massacred, and everybody is standing there like,
what just happened?
It's just in awe and horror and shock. And then he'll tell another one, go. And they the what? What?
No.
And he's like, go. And then, and then it becomes I'm going to shoot you if you don't go. And so then the soldier has to weigh, do I want to be killed immediately by this bullet that I know is coming, or do I want to have sheer terror into the unknown and then die anyway? And so
they'd be like, just shoot me.
Yeah.
Because that guy's scary.
Exactly. So that tension there, it's funny. It's not laugh out loud, like that type of thing. It's not made as a joke, but it's humorous. Gosh, what was I going to say? I mean, it just one after another. The visuals that we are given, like I saw it in a packed theater, and this press screening was just, I mean, it was literally packed, and you watch everybody go, oh, you know, and it's not just once or twice. It is like almost every single time there are these moments where the camera will focus in on something and you'll just watch it and you go, oh, no. Very visceral reaction, very gory, but a blast. Again, the story is simple. I don't think the story itself, even maybe the movie, is that memorable, but it's so much fun to watch. That's the thing. So if you want extreme action, if you want just crazy over-the-top violence, then this is it. And it's filmed well. The end, utterly absurd. I mean, just like it. We get to the final act, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Well, it's just embracing the crazy. You know, if you know what you are, embrace it. I like it.
That's it. And so it's just like, okay, just go with it and whatever. You know what I mean? Like you could, that's one of those pieces where you go, well, it ruined the movie because you went from somewhat believable to absolutely unbelievable. Whatever. Okay. You know, but that's not what the movie is. The movie is just, it's there to watch people blow up. So.
Yeah. Okay. I will probably end up seeing this on VPN when it's out on digital in America, because there is no release date for the UK.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Good.
It's just nothing.
And the strange thing is, because it's not an American movie.
Right?
It should have a European
release date, yeah.
Before America. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. So
I'll definitely watch it when it comes out. I have something to look forward to. Do you want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be covering some ground that you've covered before, but you should be happy for me and surprised, proud of Ruben, because I immersed myself in horror this week.
Ooh.
So I saw 2 films.
Okay.
I saw Scream 6 and I saw Evil Dead Rise.
Really? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Which one would you like me to talk about first?
Let's do Scream.
Okay,
and then
Scream.
go into Evil Dead. Yeah.
I was really impressed with Scream because I think it rebirths the franchise. I think from this point on they could do a lot more because they've paid homage to everything that came before. And it kept me on my toes because I was guessing. I was like, it's this. And then at the end, I was like, oh, of course it's this. But I was like, I guessed part of it, but not all of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. The kills were pretty brutal. And like what you said, with the guns in it, happened really naturalistic in a natural way. And I really liked that. I thought it was good. Love the new mask, the faded gray, way scarier.
Yeah.
I also liked how it incorporated all that came before in the story. I thought that was great. And the characters that we do get to see that have been in previous franchises previous installments of Scream, great. Love seeing Kirby back. I think she's a phenomenal actress, and her as this character playing with who is the good guy and who's the bad guy the whole way through, I think really worked for this. But there are some scenes that I thought were actually quite damn creepy. Moments that you've seen in the trailer, but you get the extended moments of that, like in on the train. You know, it's Halloween. Yeah. You think you're going to be safe, but like you're thinking, wow, damn, I'm packed in a packed subway. Everybody wearing a different costume, multiple people, because people just would, wearing the stab masks, because that in their world, stab is the franchise. And then you get the flickering lights, and in between, it reminds me. I don't know if you've ever watched Doctor Who, but there are creepy angels. Yes, exactly. Every time you blink, they're closer to you. And that totally reminded me of using that, your blink. You have to blink, which is terrifying, because every time you blink, they're closer. And that those moments. I thought that was a really clever mechanic that they used in creating real deep suspense. There were issues with it. There's the believability things. Like in number 5, we had Courtney Cox being stabbed, and then later she's sitting on the ambulance
No big
like
deal.
nothing. Yeah.
'Tis but a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Bless you. Bless you.
In this one, we have a gunshot that basically does nothing. It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Icky fit down better.
Bring me a shrubbery.
So when it comes to the Scream franchise, when people get injured and they get up again, the only way to ensure that they're dead is to put 2 in the head.
Yes.
That's established law now. If you've stabbed, gutted them, chopped them up, chopped their fingers off, doesn't matter. You destroy the brain. They're like zombies, basically.
Yes.
And this goes for how many lives the good guys have as well. You know, you can never count a person out that's being shot, stabbed, gutted, whatever. They may still be alive. There were a few people that I did miss. Neve. I think she does bring a sort of gravitas to what came before.
Sure.
But the way they honored her character, I think, worked and made sense. Like enough. She's not. It wouldn't have made sense to put her character to come all the way to New York to put herself and her family in danger again. Of course, she's going to be off the grid, living somewhere that it's nothing to do with that world anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I was hoping somehow that there would be a character coming back, but that was just my favorite character that has been written out. I was hoping that they would bring him back and that he wasn't actually dead from the last movie, but he was, and it was really sad. That's David Arquette.
Yeah. He's kill your darlings.
Yeah,
I know.
but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Jenna Ortega, I think she was the standout.
Oh, okay. See, for me, Melissa Barrera was. I thought she carried the movie because I thought it became more of her movie than Jenna Ortega's.
I think so. I think you're right. I just liked what Jenna Ortega did with reacting to what her sister's going through.
Yeah.
I wanted them to play with that more. I was hoping, because they had already established that at the end of 5.
Oh, the dynamic between the two sisters and the...
No. Her heritage, like...
Oh, yes.
They messed with that, and they only play with it a little bit. I thought that was so interesting, so fun. Will she become the thing, that they all hate? And even again, at the end, they kind of hinted at. But if you can't keep doing that, you can't keep hinting at it at the end of the movie, that's not going to play. She either does and flips over to the dark side, or she is no longer,
haunted by that.
No. Yeah, exactly. And moves on and becomes stronger for it. Something like that.
What did you think of the opening scene? I mean, because, it's not a secret that the Scream movies open with a brutal type of kill with a cameo. And just were you a little taken aback by the wait, what? When a certain thing happens?
Do you want to talk about it? It's been out a while. Can we?
It has been out, I think. Yeah, I think we can.
All right, talk about it. So, tell me, what did you think?
First, Samara Weaving in there, which I loved. I thought that was outstanding.
She's a perfect Scream queen as well. She
is. She really is. I mean, from not only in Ready or Not, but the Babysitter.
Yeah.
Just outstanding. So it was great to see her in that. And then when we have I know him more so from Servant, but he's also Flash something or other in the Spider-Man movies. He takes off his mask after he kills her, and I was
dude,
I was like, wait, what? It's
like, well, that's different. You're revealing the killer now. That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, and then though to continue down, and I'm like, dude, okay, that was the way that they extended that scene, I thought was outstanding. So
it was a great start. It was like, all the rules have changed. Like everything is up for grabs. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what your step. Yeah, really clever. Because even that beginning, I was fine with, like, knowing the killer. I was like, yeah, that's different. That's really cool. So now we can even watch from his side what he's doing. We know, but they don't know. And it's like, it could be the dynamic of it's so obvious. Why don't you know? Yeah. Great to play it that way. But obviously things change.
Things change. Yes. Yeah. So cool. Well, I'm glad you got to see it finally and that you had some fun with it. Tell me about Evil Dead Rise.
Oh boy, okay. Where do I start? I don't think it's the best out of the franchise that some people are saying.
Sure.
I would say, if I had to, personally, I loved Army of Darkness because of the tongue-in-cheek, but it has, like, watching it again, it has aged.
Sure.
Evil Dead 2 probably still at my top if I'm ranking, just thinking about the quality of it. However, this would be like close, probably pushing Army of Darkness down, I think, because I did enjoy it. And I could see what you were saying, that it's not as scary. It certainly is tense. Mm-hmm. Gore, oh my gosh. There's one scene you were talking about where I was like, did you know, Chris, they use 20,000 liters of, gallons of, like, oh, I see now. It did remind me of a few other films, Zygote. For one is Neil Blomkamp's sci-fi horror, in parts. It actually had a bit of an anime horror feel to it as well, which was interesting. The latter 10 minutes, or the last 10 minutes, very anime horror, which I really appreciated. I thought it was very cool. Nodding towards, some of the dialogue lines, nodding towards keeping it like an Evil Dead movie, but also being brave enough to do some new things. Mm-hmm. I'm very glad they didn't show some of the surprises and spoilers in the trailer. I was very surprised by that, because I thought it was this one character, but there's more to it, and I love that. I love the fact that it's a family, but it's also it's. Holy crap. Speaking about Evil Dead Rising, that scared the crap out of me.
That scared me too. Buddy was like right next to me and I didn't even realize it. Wow, that was... apologize to everybody for that. That was like, holy jeez.
Just lost some of my brain cells in my life.
I think I pooped.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let me pause here for just a second and figure out what it is. Yeah.
So there was this one time that when I was living in South Africa, I was a really young kid, and my dad came back from army because he had to do some training in the army for a couple of years, and he had to go back for 11 years, 2 months. That was the prerequisite. And one of the 2 months he came back from, we didn't know, there was a guy stealing our TV. Back in the day, it was an old square box, and he was stealing our TV. And I don't think my dad's told me the true story of what actually happened in that moment. But needless to say, I think he left the TV and the guy left. So there might have been an altercation. But I'm always trying to get dad to tell me the true story about what happened to the robber. Because normally, it in South Africa, can come down to weapons and knives and, just a whole lot of bloodshed. But I like to think my dad was a ninja, and that's how he survived taking out a bunch of really dodgy people.
Okay. And we're back.
Okay, cool. You missed the best story, Chris.
Apparently I did. I can't wait to hear this on the edit. That'll be fun. Okay, so sorry, you were talking Evil Dead Rise and the family elements.
I like the fact that it's a family element, but it's in the city. So I was thinking, how are they going to do this? Because it's in the city, much wider. But the way they seclude them and make them have to be in this location was almost like being in the cabin in the woods again.
Yeah.
Which was great, really clever. It's so painful because they could get help, but they can't. And one of the scariest things that I think of the Evil Dead is that it's just evil, and sometimes you can't see it. There's no ways for you to fight it. The only way you can fight it is once it's in something that's almost a negative for it, because like in the first few films, once they're deadites, you chop them up and bury them, and that's all you can do. You don't have like the priests from the Army of Darkness who can recite some glatu verata. You can't. I said the words right mostly. And so they showcase that there's a moment in an elevator where the horror starts properly. And I don't know if you've ever seen The Entity. That for me is the scariest film I've ever seen, next to the one I showed you that was the tensest film, The Eden Lake. Mm-hmm. But The Entity is basically a true story about a woman that is sexually assaulted by a ghost, or an entity of some kind. And so there's a similar scene. She's not assaulted that way, but when you're fighting something you can't see, that is just brutal as well. Like, it doesn't hold back.
Yeah,
that is scary. I thought that bit was like, that's terrifying, because you want, like, how would I even help? Like, what would I do? There's nothing I can shoot. There's nothing I can swipe at.
You can't even see it.
Yeah.
And
even in some of the recordings, there was this little line of dialogue. The priest tried doing their thing and they just laughed at them. And I was like, oh, crap. So there's nothing. So what do you do against nothing? You just survive. Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost cosmic horror at that point, where it's like everything is futile, no matter what happened. Yeah. Because, those clues that you get on the recording were outstanding.
So good. Yeah. Very, very much brought a bigger idea of where they came from. Also, notice that the book is different every time we see it. We've never had the spine teeth thing. Remind me of Harry Potter, the
yeah. But they said that it was one of 3.
So it could be one. Don't know why you'd make 3 of those, but all right.
Right. Stop it. Is that in case you misplaced one? What's going on? I don't know why you would need 3 of those. But
I think she's great. The new Ash.
Oh,
I thought she was awesome. The aunt. Like, by the time you get to the end, you buy it. I do have one caveat negativity, and that's not about the film. That's about me being worried about the little girl, the actress. She's really young.
Yeah.
How the hell is she not going to be scarred by acting in this role? It's almost similar to how scarred the young girl was in The Exorcist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, some of the stuff she had to see, that had to mess with your mind. They must have done something on set to play with her, make it a big joke, and say, okay, and then immediately, I hope they did that, because, dude.
Yeah.
That's young.
Even that part where you see it in the trailer where she's at the door. That tense scene that goes on for longer than it really should, because it's just like, come on. Okay, end it already. We know what's going to happen. Jeez, you're making me uncomfortable here. But yeah, because it involves the little girl there too. And yeah. There
were some really squeamish moments with like body horror. Like, I mean, the grater we see in the trailer, right?
Well, you see that it didn't show the grater.
I didn't show. Okay,
it just talks
I understood what they were doing with the grater, and I went, there's another moment where there's a knife that goes into a body part, but what she does with the knife, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. The whole needle with the eye type of thing, anytime anything like that is coming towards the eye.
But I also can see what people were saying about how it's funny because they could see how much fun the main actress was having with the role, because you were talking about the needle and where she gets the ink from. I was just like, that's brilliant. Also pretty funny and demented, and exactly probably what some evil entity would do. There's moments like that. You're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was trying not to root for anybody because I knew mostly they're probably all going to die.
Yeah, it's really tough.
I like that person. Damn it.
Yeah. It goes downhill very quickly, and you're like,
Once it starts, you're just like, oh dear, here we go.
Who's going to make it? Will anybody make it? Yeah, right. Oh man, cool. Well, I'm glad you got to see both of those. I'm glad you had fun with them too.
It's good. Yeah.
Nice.
I did watch another horror, but we're going to talk about that in our audio segment.
Ooh.
So,
okay.
But
Can't
what's
wait.
next on your list?
Very different in tone from the last several movies we've discussed. But the final part of the final season of the Netflix series Firefly Lane. This is
I wondered if you got to this, yeah.
Yeah, Sarah Chalk and Katherine Heigl. And so I came late to season 1. And I got hooked on it. My wife had been watching it, and so then I watched it, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is really good. And not even as a guilty pleasure. Like Virgin River is a guilty pleasure, but
sure,
it's also,
yeah.
I don't feel guilty about it because I really like it. It's not good, but it's like I'm hooked. So,
But you think Firefly Lane is good?
I do. I really like and hate all at the same time the 3 different timelines because they interweave back and forth, and sometimes it's like, oh gosh, okay, you need to stop for a second, because I mean, when they go to the 70s when they're teenagers, that's a very easy transition of
Remind me, why do they go to different timelines?
it's to show their friendship of Kate and Tully over the course of their lifespan.
Right.
That they meet in school as younger teenagers and just grow from there. And so it's the ups and downs of the relationship, hard times, easy times, happy times, sad times, mad times, all of that. But when they go into the 70s, it's 2 different actresses. So it's easy to see that difference. When they're in the 80s and then in the 90s, it's Sarah Chalk and Katherine Heigl both times. I mean, they have different hairstyles, so it's easier there. And even Johnny, the guy who plays Kate's husband, at one point, he has long hair in the 80s and then very short hair in the 90s and then even into, I guess it's like the 2000s because it jumps again. Part 1 of season 2 ended on just a downer of a cliffhanger, and you're like, holy crap, they're fighting. Kate and Tully are fighting, and there's devastating news, and now we see the aftermath of that. And ugly cry. There's it's a very moving conclusion to the story, and it's
okay, but why are you drawn into why do you think it's good?
Because of the relationships, the way the way that they're written, it's frustrating, and it borders sometimes on melodramatic, but it's not. But you have this relatable experience. If you've ever had just a long-term relationship, whether it's like me, like my wife. I mean, we've been married for 26 years. We've been together for over 30. So the majority of my life has been with her, and we're best of friends, but it's not always been, smooth sailing. I mean, there's ups and downs like any relationship there. And so
really, marriage goes through ups and downs,
right? And so, I can't imagine that I'm always not just a joy to live with. But
wow.
But so the show mirrors that, and it shows that, but you still are left with hope through there. And even though there are the sad times within there, or the hurts and everything, that relatability drew me in. I like sometimes how they tackle different things. Like even in this season, they tackle in a very non-preachy way the issue or idea of breastfeeding. And, especially in the 80s, 90s, gosh, even when our kids were born, I mean, it was very, breastfeeding is the only way. If you don't breastfeed as a mom, then you are a failure as a mom, and your kids are suffering. And never taking into account, the mentality was never that, well, maybe you can't breastfeed. Whatever that happens, whatever that is, the show handles it in a very good way, and provides some well-rounded insight into that. And so that it's fun when they do that. They tackle cancer because that's what we learn at the end of part 1. And the emotional toll that takes, and the journey that we see Kate go on through this. Yeah. It's moving, it's touching, it just sucks you in, because not only is it dramatic and heartbreaking at times, but it also, you can feel the realism in some of the words and the mindsets. Even if you've never dealt with cancer, chances are you've dealt with an issue in your life where you have a differing mindset than those around you. And so you have to balance how you think they want you to feel versus how you do feel. And
okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So have you ever seen other drama series, not like Virgin River, but like Gilmore Girls, or what other things can you equate it to?
Oh gosh, I don't.
They don't really have a reference for it, so I'm trying to place it in my mind what it would be like.
Gilmore Girls is way more humorous. I love Gilmore Girls. I thought that was great. Some of the tumultuousness of the relationships and how some of those are relatable in Gilmore Girls, I could say you could see that there. Virgin River, I think, is a little more unnatural because everybody wraps things up very nicely and very easily. They have a disagreement.
I like Virgin River for that.
Totally. No, exactly. Because it doesn't, while you have these dramatic moments or you have these arguments and things and these disagreements between characters, it's typically wrapped up by the end of that episode that somebody is like, oh, my bad, I messed up. And they're all good again, which leaves you happy, and that's like that. I'm trying to remember any type of. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are several.
Have you seen
dramas.
This Is Us?
I have not, because no.
Because I watched the first 2 episodes in that, and that was like man cry, like
that. Okay,
seriously.
I've seen 1 or 2 episodes also, and I would say, I could see how that is, especially because it also jumps in time. Right. You see back and forth, and so that would be a good comparison, probably, of just the dramada.
The dramada. Is that what were you making up a new word?
I was trying to, yeah.
The dramada.
Yeah, the way that it touches your heart and tugs at it and rips it out sometimes. Yeah. Nice.
Well, if you've seen it, let us know what you would compare it to.
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, so last on my list to talk about is, last week I was talking about things that were wrapping up, and I've been catching up in series, and I caught up on The Mandalorian. We spoke about that, Glenn. So Picard has finished, and I managed to catch up on all of the episodes, and that's the last episode of Picard, and I doubt very much we're going to see the likes of it again. Now, a couple of years ago, when it first started airing, I remember us talking about how for me the pilot was great, and then it just was so indulgent of long monologues from Picard, new crew, not really like any kind of spaceships, but they didn't have like Enterprise or anything like it. It felt unnatural Star Trek. They were trying to push it in a way that didn't seem. And then every series, well, I'd say the first 2 seasons, it took a good few episodes to get into the story, and then the last 5 felt rushed. And that's what happened for season 1 and 2. And somehow they managed to get a crowd, because people love Star Trek. Trekkies are diehard fans. And Picard, Patrick Stewart is an amazing character. And they started bringing back a few of the actors from the original, like Star Trek Generations. One of the main cast members is 7 of 9 from Star Trek Voyager. And so they're starting to place bits of Trek, real Trek in there. And then we get to season 3. And I don't know what the writers did. It's like they took everything that was kind of working in the first 2 seasons and then went, okay, but this is what Star Trek fans love. And they just basically poured in a fantastic story with basically all of the crew from the original Star Trek Generations. I mean, eventually the latter of the season 3, you have almost all of the characters there, and they embrace the oldness of these characters. You got Worf, who's got like a grey beard and grey moustache, grey and he's still grumpy, but he's learned to meditate. So he's like a pacifist Klingon, which is brilliant. He's like the most outrageously trained assassin. He's in like Spec Ops version of Star Trek. There's a whole big conspiracy that affects the whole of Starfleet, and it's like Picard again and his crew against all of Starfleet. That is like the story, and is it very personal to do with his family. That's like at the heart of the story. It's about him, and they bring him back all of the storylines that were just like when it comes to Star Trek. If I say to you, what is the scariest bad guy that you can think of? Who would you say? Like, what pops to mind with bad guys when you think about Star Trek? Khan. Okay, who else? A species.
Species would be like the Klingons for me.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm not as Trekkie as you.
So for me, it was always the Borg. They were terrifying because they have the ability. They're basically Terminators, and they morph. So I remember like in movies like Insurrection or Star Trek, whenever you encountered the Borg, you start using your phaser rifles on them, and it would work for a bit, and they have these multi-shielding things that change, and then suddenly your phasers don't work.
Oh, wow.
And they have to keep changing. So they're always adapting. And then they were so ruthless. They just like the Terminators, right? So they just come and resistance is futile is their favorite line, and then they just like clink, 2 claws in there and make you one of them, like a Cyberman from Doctor Who.
Yes.
And once you are part of the Borg, it's very hard not to be Borg again, and then you are always affected. Now, what they did, they took the storyline from Borg, Picard, 7 of 9, mostly all of the treks that we've had, and put it into one cohesive story that actually made sense, that was relative and had a lot of heart to it. So now, like, no joke, if you go on Twitter, if you go on the reviews, you'll see how did Picard season 3 end up being one of the best seasons of Trek ever. And I think they can only say that because they lean on what has come before. So it wouldn't be because we don't have the histories of those characters, of course. But they've taken the history of those characters, all that emotional baggage, used that, changed a little bit, made it relevant, given us history and backstory to what has happened to them since, relationships that have broken, that have hurt, all of that is all played very well in here, but then giving them something that they have to focus on again as a crew to save literally the whole of Starfleet. And I loved it, but Kirsten watched most of it with me, season 3, and when she got to the end, she said that last episode was pretty indulgent. And so for a Trekkie fan, I was like, I loved it, because the 20 minutes of the end was basically saying goodbye. Think Avengers, the end scene when they go to the what do they go to, the cafe,
shawarma.
Oh yeah, shawarma. There's a scene in this where they're playing poker around the table, and they're just all chatting, and it goes on for ages, and then the credits start rolling. It's that sort of indulgence, really kind of giving the fans a goodbye, because it felt like the goodbye we never actually got. I was blown away. I was like, damn, how did it go from that to this? And why can't you have been this the whole time?
Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad that they turned it around. Yeah, that's outstanding.
Ending on such a high, and I'm so glad people are agreeing with me. Like there are people that I was like expecting just to poo all over it, like Jeremy Johns, and he's like, "Holy crap, what happened? This is so good." Yeah, it's if you were on the fence, or you didn't enjoy the first 2 seasons but you trudged through them, or you kind of enjoyed it but didn't think it was great. Let me just explain to you that it's like the Orville. The Orville was funny at the beginning in season 1, quite good in season 2. Season 3 just knocked it out of the park. It feels like the writers like, this might be the only thing that we have left to do with it. Let's actually do a good job. And yeah, we got one.
Nice. Right on. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Okay. This is not a film, but I did want to touch on it. It just came out today. It's a game. It's called Star Wars Jedi Knight. Not Jedi Knight. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I have a top tip for everyone. Even if you're downloading, if you have a digital copy or you have a physical copy, which is crazy. So the game is 159 gig.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah. So the disc of a Blu-ray can only be 100 gig. That's the space it has. So you're still going to be downloading 59 gig onto your hard drive. So, I mean, it's bonkers that it's that big. What happens is when you're playing it fully installs it and it goes, yeah, you've completed installing, and then you finish the first mission, you reach a checkpoint, and it says, please install an update. And you're like, that's weird. So you go to the game, you hit check for update, and it goes, fully updated, no patches. And I'm scouring the internet, and I'm like, what in the hell? I've paid like quite expensive game. Star Wars games have always been expensive for me to go. And now you can't play the game. Sorry. So what it is, you need to go to your current downloads and see that because it's such a big update, what it's allowed you to do is play part of the game while it's still downloading, even though it says it's complete. It's not. Go to your current downloads and you'll see I still had 30 minutes, and that is over after it'd been installing for over an hour. So it's you're like, oh, okay. However, it's still really fun. It has some glitches, like all AAA games do now when they start on day one. If you love the first one, they've taken what worked from the first one and what didn't and put that into two. So there's a lot of collectibles, but the collectibles will have not just cosmetics. There's a stuff that's going to matter to your character. That was one of the biggest issues of one. There were so many cosmetic collectibles that it made it stupid for you to go around collecting them. Like every time you collect a cloak that had it was just cosmetic to look at. So you ended up just getting different paint skins for your character or your ship. And then it's like, all right, now you're a Jedi, you're a proper Jedi, and the Force abilities that you are trying to gain are very different and quite unique and colorful and crazy. You get a nice little grappling hook that helps you get around the map much faster, which is an issue. Some of the jumping has been fixed. I hated you jumped onto the grating, but then you had to tap another button to keep climbing, otherwise you'd fall off. So now you can just jump and go on grating and you wouldn't fall off. Like little things they've gone, yeah, okay, that's really annoying. It is sort of Souls-like. So every time you reset your space, you go into meditate, you get your health back, but all the bad guys respawn and you're like, oh crap. Except for the main bosses. It is hard like the first one, so you can play it as hard as you like, but there are varying many difficulties. So if you're just in it for the story, which I think a lot of people will be, you can play story mode and you'll just get the story. The story is good. I think it's better so far, and I've only played one mission, but I think it's better so far. It gets you emotionally involved with the characters, starting to establish where a character is. I can see that this time around it's going to be the Luke story where he's struggling with the dark side, and I think that's always fun for a Jedi story, rather than just I'm the good guy defeating all the Sith Lords and the bad guys and trying to recruit, and he's basically trying to start like a Jedi Academy again, or at least find some Jedis because of Order 66.
Sure.
Now, every time one of his friends gets killed by an Empire, you see him really struggling with like not wanting to just use his anger to destroy them. And I like that. They're playing with that in game. And because you're like, no, I really like that character. And so you want to go, let's take my lightsabers and...
Yeah.
There's lots of fun stuff you can do. Double lightsabers, 2 lightsabers, 1 lightsaber, change the colors. Like if you ever wanted to be Mace Windu and how use the purple one, or Yoda, with the green, or even Ahsoka with the 2 whites, it's totally there for you to do. Graphically, PS5 is much better than PC, which is hilarious to say.
Wow.
Because the PC port, it's like they really didn't give it much time. It's glitchy as heck. You need like the best PC ever to run it at like a certain amount of frames. I know they've got a day one patch coming, but dude, if you have PS5 or a PC, you have both of those, I would suggest getting it on PS5 for now, because you're going to struggle in PC.
I saw this thing on Twitter today where it was they were talking about the game, and it was the character actor who was doing all the mocap for the character in the game, but Mark Hamill was there also. And so you watch him and he's training him back and forth and giving him tips. And then Mark Hamill's like, wait, you have two lightsabers? And he goes, well, really it's one, but I can separate them into two. And then you see Mark Hamill just walk off and he goes, I never got two lightsabers. And that's
brilliant.
It's a really cool and funny video because you see, you get the humor that Hamill has, and how he gets to insert it in there and it'd be dry and kind of sarcastic and witty and yet still talking about the game. And then it shows some gameplay and stuff. So yeah, it's fun. I don't remember what account was on. It was probably EA or whoever.
Probably EA released that. You have a little droid, which is great because Star Wars, you need a droid, but it really places Star Wars with you, but makes it a necessity to have. But also, you're not waiting for a droid. Like, imagine R2 trying to follow you in gameplay all the time. It'd be really difficult, unless it's Lego. So here you have BD. Yeah, exactly. BD-8 is on your shoulder, and he carries your health packs, like your stim packs, and he can open doors, do the things that the droids do, and also you can use him by holding him on, like if you're going up a metal line, like electricity going from one place to another, like a zip line, but going up or down if you want, like multiple users to have your droid. So it feels like you're not always alone. Because some of the world design, there's not a lot going on. You're doing platforming, trying to figure out puzzles. Then it's just you kind of talking to, BD, nice. Which is great. You always need a little droid. Yeah,
that's fun. Cool. Well, I'm glad. That's fun. I'm sure my son has either ordered it already or has it, and for his
is currently playing it at work.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So cool. All right. Well, hey, we thank you for joining us. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. Me, Chris, Movies and Munchies. Wherever you happen to be, wherever you happen to listen to podcasts, that's what I want to say. Our full extended audio version is there. So if you visit us, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Anchor, Spotify, whatever, we're there. Just search the best thing we watched this week. We'll pop up if you could rate and review us. We're going to be talking about a movie that Ruben had seen before, but probably not for a while. I had never seen it, so first time watch for me. We're going to talk about the thing that would not make our list this week.
The worst thing on the list.
Yes, exactly. As well as a little bit of entertainment news and just things we're looking forward to. Our Patreon, as Ruben had talked about at the beginning, we have a ton of content on there. Some of it is outside of the paywall, so you can get just an idea of what we're up to. Entry level for first tier is £1, so it's like $1.30, $1.40, something like that per month. Just so that you can get in and experience it. We appreciate all the patrons that we have. We'd love to see you on there, and just hey, even if you just want to check out the ones for free first, please do that. Patreon.com/thebeardedones. It's also on the screen for you and in the description below. And with that, I think that's it. So we will see you next week. All right? Take care.